identity of the promised seed was a sacred secret of God. This prophetic statement revealed that there would be a deliverer who would destroy the one really represented by the serpent, namely, the great serpent and enemy of God, Satan the devil. Re 12:9. It also indicated that the devil would have a seed. It would require time for the two seeds to be brought forth and for enmity to develop between them. The seed of the serpent. We note that when the Bible speaks of seed in a symbolic sense, it does not refer to literal children, or offspring, but to those who follow the pattern of their symbolic father, those having his spirit or disposition. Adam and Eve's first son Cain is an example of one of the serpent's offspring. The Apostle John writes enlighteningly on this point. The children of God and the children of the devil are evident by this fact. Everyone who does not carry on righteousness does not originate with God, neither does he who does not love his brother. For this is the message which you have heard from the beginning, that we should have love for one another. Not like Cain, who originated with the wicked one and slaughtered his brother. And for the sake of what did he slaughter him? Because his own works were wicked, but those of his brother were righteous. 1 Joe 3:10-12. Compare Joe 8:44. Thus the seed of the serpent throughout the centuries consisted of those who had the spirit of the devil, who hated God and fought God's people, and it included particularly the religious persons who claimed to serve God, but who were actually false, hypocrites. Jesus identified the Jewish religious leaders of his day as a part of the serpent's seed, saying to them, serpents, offspring gr. General middle.nema middle.tar, generated ones of vipers, how are you to flee from the judgment of Gehenna? Mount 23:33, int. There was a gradual revelation of features of God's secret concerning the promised seed of the woman. The questions to be answered were: would the seed be heavenly or earthly? If spiritual or heavenly, would it nevertheless run an earthly course? Would the seed be one or many? How would it destroy the serpent and liberate mankind? As has already been shown, the serpent to whom Jehovah was directing his words recorded at Genesis 3:15 was not the animal on the ground. Obviously, it could not understand an issue such as was involved here, a challenge of Jehovah's sovereignty. Therefore, as later developments revealed, God was speaking to an intelligent individual, his archenemy Satan the devil. The book of Job enlightens us on this matter, as there we find Satan presenting his accusation against Job's integrity to Jehovah in order to support his challenge against God's sovereignty. Job 1:6-12. 2. 1-5 The father, then, of the seed textoi acute miritra longo, seed 888 to Abraham revealed that Abraham would have offspring. It also disclosed that the ancestral line of the prophetically promised seed of deliverance would indeed run an earthly course. One person foretold. In speaking of the offspring of Abraham and others, the Hebrew and Greek terms used are in the singular form, usually referring to such offspring in a collective sense. There seems to be one strong reason why the collective term zedra, seed, rather than the strictly plural word ba sons singular ben, was used so often with respect to Abraham's posterity. The Apostle Paul points to this fact in explaining that when God spoke of the blessings to come through Abraham's seed, he had primary reference to one person, namely, Christ. Paul says, now the promises were spoken to Abraham and to his seed. It or, he says, not. And to seeds gr. Sperma sin, as in the case of many such, but as in the case of one. And to your seed gr. Spermati, who is Christ. 3:16, ftn. Some scholars have objected to Paul's statement regarding the singular and plural use of seed. They point out that in Hebrew the word for seed zedra, when used for posterity, never changes its form, in this use resembling the English word sheep. Also, the accompanying verbs and adjectives do not in themselves indicate the singularity or plurality intended by the word for seed. While this is so, there is another factor that demonstrates that Paul's explanation was accurate grammatically as well as doctrinally. Explaining this factor, M. Clintock and Strong's Cyclopedia 1894, Volume 9, p. 506 states. In connection with pronouns, their construction is entirely different from both the preceding, that is, the verbs and adjectives used with the word seed. A singular pronoun used with ZDRA marks an individual, and only one, or one out of many, while a plural pronoun represents all the descendants. This rule is followed invariably by the Septuagint. Peter understood this construction, for we find him inferring a singular seed from General XXI, 17:18, when speaking to native Jews in the city of Jerusalem before Paul's conversion. Acts 3:26, as David had set the example 1,000 years before Sir. LXXI, 17. Additionally, this reference works as the distinction made by Paul is not between one seed and another, but between the one seed and the many. And if we consider him quoting the same passage with Peter cited earlier, his argument is fairly sustained by the pronoun his, not their enemies. Seed with a pronoun singular is exactly equivalent to son. Using an English illustration, the expression my offspring could refer to one or to many. But if after such expression the offspring should be referred to as he, it would be apparent that a single child or descendant was